right, everybody, it's Austin Holloman, and thank you guys for coming through to another daily live stream. And today we have a special guest. You guys have seen him here before if you've been on the channel before. He's a good friend of mine that lives in Cali, Colombia. I went and saw him and met him myself in Cali, Colombia, and he's exactly the way how you would expect him to be when you see him in person. He's been traveling for a while. He's been to a few countries. We're going to ask him here in a minute for people that don't know him. And I really respect his experience, and I feel he's the right person to talk about how to get the most out of living abroad for you guys and teach you guys. So let's go ahead and bring him up. What's going on?
All right, all right. Oh, yeah, it's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well. How are you?
Doing great, man. Enjoying this afternoon here in Cali, Colombia. Sunny day, another sunny day. So I can't complain. Everything is going great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're looking good online.
Yeah.
You're looking good on the video as well.
I don't know what's going on with this, man. I'm gonna have to stop using StreamYard. It keeps breaking up like that.
I don't see it breaking up because I'm looking at the video at the same time, looking at on the live stream with you. So I'm looking at the video as if I was a guest, and I don't see any issues on this end.
Actually, it keeps doing it on my end. I have to figure out why it is. So, for people that don't know who you are, can you give everybody a background on who you are, what you do, why you're on YouTube, where you're at?
Andre of Andre and Andres Love Crossing Borders, as you guys can see in the background. We've been on YouTube for 5 years this past April. We've got 5 different channels. We have other business ventures as well. I moved to Cali, Colombia in 2019, November 26th, like right before the pandemic. And so what we do on our channel, we not only help you find love across borders, but we also help individuals fall in love with the borders that they cross. Some guys aren't looking for a woman, but they're just looking for a country. And we assist individuals in regards to being comfortable with their transition to a new country. And that's basically what we do.
Okay. And did you mention how long you have been living abroad?
I've been living full-time abroad going on about 6 years. How it started was I saw Jabril, Passport Heavy, one of his videos in 2016, 2017. Then I started getting turned on to Tailor Made Dreams. Shout out to Tailor Made Dreams. Then I got turned on to this young YouTuber who had just started Ace Live, and he hadn't even had 200 subscribers yet. And so what ended up happening is Ace and I hit him up basically in his comment section. You know, he was brand new. And I told him that I was wanting to come down to Medellin, Colombia. I'd already had Colombian friends in Tampa. I lived in Tampa for 14 years. So Tampa is a hub for Colombian individuals that I moved to the States. So a lot of my friends are in the States are from Colombia, Venezuela, Peru. So I'm already used to that atmosphere. And when I reached out to Ace, he was like, "Hey, brother, I'm happy. Come on down. I'll show you around." And then the rest, basically, as they say, is history. Because I had already planned on moving down here, and then in my plans of moving down here and getting everything in order, I had met different Colombia women, really good women, and I eventually met my current wife, Andrea, that many individuals know. And then we've been together ever since. And what I did was I made the transition a lot smoother for myself because of the costs were not as expensive as it would be to transition from another city in the States from one city in the States. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. It would have cost me a lot more to move from, let's say, Tampa to, let's say, Dallas, Texas, compared to relocating from Tampa to Colombia, because the apartment would be less. For example, there is no, how can I word it? There is no first month rent, last month rent issues. So a lot of the issues that I would have in the States to make a transition would be a lot harder than me moving to another country, or any of us moving to other countries, not just Colombia. And that's one of the things that I noticed.
Okay. So, sorry, my internet is still lagging. So the next question I have for you is, now that you've been living abroad for all this time, what are the initial adjustments? Like, what were the first few steps you took to adapt after moving abroad that you think every expat should consider?
The first thing that every expat should consider is this: your last year, your first year. Your last year in the States, your first year in the States. Your last year in the States is going to go by swiftly, and your first year in your new country is going to go by swiftly. Do not think that those will not go by fast. Your last year in the States, you should start getting paperwork together, like your birth certificate, like your if you are not married, there is a form that most of us don't know about in the State Department called the affidavit of singleness. You can get it downtown from anybody from anywhere to prove that you are single. It's an affidavit that's used globally to prove that you don't have a wife in one country and then trying to marry somebody else in another country. If you eventually are looking to get married, maybe 5-10 years down the line, it's called the affidavit of singleness, which is proof that you are single in one country and not married to somebody in another country. You also want to make sure that you have your insurance policies. Make sure that you got, I don't care if it's a cheap insurance or an expensive insurance. Make sure while you're in the States, get your insurance policies, because you can't sign a U.S. insurance policy outside of the U.S. So while you're there, get your U.S. Life insurance policy taken care of. Also, when you're about to leave the States, make sure you got all your medical records or your dental records. You know, if you got braces, things like that, make sure that you have any medical records that you may have. Now, if you don't have any, cool, that's great. But if you're a person that does have some, make sure that you have a copy of those things to take with you as well. So your last year, you're just going to be gathering things. Also, your last year, 90% of the stuff that you plan on bringing with you, you will not need. Yes, most of the countries that we're going to already have everything that you need. Austin, when I came to Colombia, man, I come with like 35 toothpaste, 15 toothbrushes. I'm coming down with gigantic Walmart crates and carts. I'm walking through the airport. They're actually thinking I've got so much stuff. True story. They thought I was selling this stuff because when I came in, I had so many Walmart crates, carts, and everything. They were like, "What?" I had to show them my lease to my apartment to let them know that I was moving down here. And then Andrea had to come in to I ended up having to pay like $100,000 tariff fee to actually get my luggage in because I had so much stuff and it looked like I was actually going to sell all this stuff,
100,000 pesos.
which is only $25.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know, with the Colombian dollar, you always, to understand in English, this is what we do. With the you always take the last 3 zeros off, divide by 4. Last 3 zeros off, divide by 4. And that's how you know calculating the Colombian pesos. Just take the last 3 zeros off and then divide by 4. So 100,000 pesos is only $25. So paid the $25, got into the country, and then here's the crazy part, Austin. 90% of the stuff that I brought with me stayed in those crates for almost 4 years. Didn't even need them.
Sounds
Didn't
about
even
right.
need them. So, and this the irony of it, I call myself packing and unpacking 5 times. No, I don't need this. But I will need it. No, 90% of the stuff that you think that you're gonna need, you're buying it because you think that that new country might not have those things. And then you get here, you found out, for example, with Colombia and other countries, Amazon delivers. You find out that they have their own version of Costco's, which is Price Smart. You find out that they don't have Dollar Tree; it's called Dollar City, but it's the exact same store. So a lot of things that you panic about really needing in your new country, don't panic, because 9 times out of 10, whatever you had on your for your daily life in the States or in Canada or UK is in the UK, you probably have that in your new country anyway. Don't make the mistake I made.
Okay. So my second question is cultural integration. How do you approach blending into a new culture without losing your cultural identity? Or
Uh,
would you say that's common for people to lose their cultural identity when they
to a
try to
certain
move?
extent, you will. You will, just like a person come to the United States takes on certain cultural identities to acclimate themselves to the States or to Canada or to the UK. So it is. We pick up certain characteristics, certain for in Spanish, certain slang words. We pick up certain ways to eat. Like you were like, I remember the episode you had when you were in Africa and you were eating with your hands for the first time. It's those little things that even though you're American, you'll still pick up certain traits or qualities of your new country, and you want that. You don't want to just be 100% of you. The reason why you got your passport, or any of us got our passports to travel, is to learn new things, new cultures, new way of how people do things. Even you acclimate how to handle women, because how women are in the United States, and you try to handle a woman in Chile or Brazil the same way you deal with women in the States, it may come across different as far as communication. So you still have to find yourself to a certain extent giving up a part of who you are as an American to be able to acclimate to the community of your new country and your new city.
I would agree. I would agree. While you're answering the question so well, I can't even ask a follow back question for that. Okay. So, what parts of what did you have to give up about your cultural identity? Like, what were some things you had to unlearn or adapt to in being in Colombia?
Oh, I got a laundry list. First of all, uh, the misinformation about other cultures. uh, you sit back, you come to a new country, and you find out that most of what they told you back home in the United States about a country was a lie. What they told you about modern day Germany, what they told you about Asia, what they told you about South America, you find out that some of the stuff is true, but 90% of it, what you assumed about South America, is trash. That's the first thing that I had to give up, was my misconception about life in South America. Remember I just said I brought all that other stuff, boxes and bags and carts of stuff, because I had a misconception of what South America was. Even though I already had my apartment down here waiting for me, I still had a misconception. So I had to get past that. The second thing I had to get past, or give up as far as who I was as an American, was how I dealt with my voice, my tone. As you will know, people in South America, other than sports or in the club, they don't talk loud. They're not loud people unless they're at a party atmosphere, or they're at a sporting event. South American people don't yell. You rarely hear them yell across the street. But then you see us Americans, it could be three of us, and we are the loudest ones in the neighborhood. So I had to learn to kind of like tone it back in regards to my tone of how I speak, because here in South America, when you speak loud as an American, it is considered also rude. And now I look at other Americans when they walk into a restaurant, and I kind of like turn my head around like, I'm not one of them, I'm not one of them, I'm not one of them. Because you see how loud, especially sisters. Shout out, well, we love your sisters, but you ladies are extremely loud in other countries. And you don't realize how loud people are while you're in America. But once you leave America and you see how every other country's tones are in public, you start to realize, okay, it's time for me to bring that down a little bit. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes, I've noticed that we stand out very easily when it comes to our volume on how we speak and the things that we choose to say. The way how we
Yeah,
look at things is completely different. We definitely have a different mindset. So,
yeah.
about language barriers, can you share some effective strategies for overcoming language barriers when you first moved to a country?
If you are like me and your Espanol is muy mal, trash, right? You have to get to the point where be comfortable with the fact, I'm going to a country and I don't know their slang yet. I might know a little bit of Spanish, or I might know a little bit of Portuguese, or whatever the language is. Be all right with just starting with the little bit that you have. Remember this: communication is 85% body language. Global communication, 85%. Everybody on the planet knows what this is. Everybody knows what this is. Everybody knows what this is. Everybody knows when you kind of describe something, when you're using hand gestures. And so a lot of times when you first start, you might know 5 words of what you're trying to say, but what you're trying to communicate takes 15 words. don't feel uncomfortable because people are okay with the fact that you're trying. That's the one thing that I can say, and I know Austin can attest to this when it comes to other countries. They appreciate the fact that you're at least trying. And women think that it's attractive because you are trying. Oh my God, he's trying to learn. Let us school him, girl. Let me be the one to groom him. So they want to feel like the ones that they taught you their language or taught you about their food or their culture. So don't feel uncomfortable if you go to a country and when you initially start off, there's a language barrier. That's cool. You know why? Because you are on learner mode. Even if you go to another country and you know the language, now you got to know the slang of that city. I'll give you a story, Austin. A partner of mine who's always in Medellin, he has a girlfriend in Medellin, and they were having a conversation. And she turned to him, she said, "When'd you go to Bogota?" And he said, "Girl, I ain't never been to Bogota." Now he know he lying. "Girl, I ain't never been to Bogota. What you talking about, girl?" She said, "Babe, that slang that you just used, they only use that in Bogota, Colombia." She said, "That's come I know when you went to Bogota." Uh, uh, I don't know what you're talking about. But he knows that he had gone. In other words, even though you learn the basic Spanish or the basic language of that area, there's some slang to learn in those particular areas, just like different slang that goes on in different parts of the United States. Feel comfortable with that. Don't panic. Don't have anxiety because of your first year or second year of not knowing everything, even when it comes to the language.
So, what would you say are the difficulties you ran into personally with the language barrier?
I could easily say once I walk out the door, I still deal with language barrier in the sense of there are business aspects. For example, some of you guys may be excellent in Spanish, but when it comes to contract negotiations or when it comes for example, signing a lease, you might be lost. Or you might be an individual that's good at speaking Espanol or speaking a foreign language, but you don't know how to read or write in that foreign language. So that's another learning curve that I found myself being involved in, is still learning uh the writing part, leer. So some people can read Espanol, but they're not good at speaking Espanol or whatever language it may be. At the end of the day, you're still going to be involved in a lifetime of learning. And that's what you wanted. Guys don't realize this. Ladies don't realize this. You signed up for a new life. And since you signed up for a new life in a new country and new experiences, expect that learning curve to be there. Don't panic. Don't trip on it. Now, a lot of guys will say, "Well, Andre, you have an English speaking wife, so you're good." Andre is not with me 90% of the day. I've been living here for 6 years. 90% of the time, my wife is not with me. So my closest friends are Colombians. So I have had to learn to communicate with them. And it's kind of funny. The Spanish that doesn't kick in when I'm around my wife, Austin, it suddenly kicks in when I'm around all Spanish speakers. And now I understand what they're saying. They understand what I'm saying. So do realize, don't think that you can marry somebody or date somebody that's an English speaker and you can use them as a crutch. That's not true at all. I'm living proof that you're still going to have to go out here in the world, communicate with people, hang out with people, build up relationships with people. In that aspect, it gives you an opportunity to practice the language, to practice networking, and to practice speaking with the lower tone. For example, when you're in other countries, once again, as me and Austin were saying, Americans, we often stand out, first of all, not just how we dress or how we look, but the first thing that usually stands out with us, no matter what race or color creed coming from the United States, our vocal tones are far louder than most countries that we go to.
Okay, great answer. Salute to you as well, lead attorney. I think lead attorney is in the
I
chat.
see lead in there.
The the next question I have about local networking. So, what are your top tips for building a strong local network in a new country? I know you said your closest friends are Colombians. What are your tips for building a strong local network?
Well, now the first thing that I say is this, and I always, when you and I would talk about this off camera. Bring your routines to your new country. This is very important. Those that don't bring a routine usually get homesick and go back to whatever country they're in. What do I mean? If you go to the gym in the States, go to the gym in your new country. If you're a reader and you'd like to go to the library in the States, go to the library in your new country. Get a library card in your new country. Whatever it is, I'm a public speaker. I like to play golf. We got 2 amazing golf courses here in Cali. I like to bowl, even though I'm horrible. So I'm going to the bowling alleys in Cali. So you'll find yourself meeting people at places in which you have a routine. You'll meet women and guys in the gym. You'll meet people when you're at the bowling alley or when you're at the golf course or wherever it may be that's a part of your daily routine. So don't forget to bring whatever routine of life that you have at home, bring that with you to another country, and that will be your door opener to meeting other people. Also, there are networking opportunities throughout different countries. For example, here in Colombia, you have Gringo Tuesdays all across Colombia. Every Tuesday, you have clubs that have specific meetups for foreigners and the locals. Foreigners and the local meet up on Gringo Tuesdays. Also here in Colombia, just like in the States, you have meetup.com. I'm going to say that again. When you're in most countries have meetup.com. If you're a person that's into investments, or if you're a person that's into anime, if you're a person that's into podcasting or YouTubing, there's always a group of people that think like you, even in your new country. And you'll find them on meetup.com. I used to use meetup.com in the States, and that's how I found out about the podcasters when I was in Tampa. Also, I use meetup.com here in Colombia, and now I find out about the salsa classes and the salsa schools, and also Toastmasters International. It's called international for a reason, people. So if you're a public speaker, no matter what country you go to internationally, Toastmasters is usually there. And now you're meeting other people to practice the language with. At the same time, you're networking with a different quality of people that are out there. So there are so many opportunities that guys don't realize. And this is the last thing I want to say about this. If you're planning on living in a new country, guys, don't lean on the leisure you to open up the doors for you. What do I mean by that? There's a vacation you and there's a relocation you. Vacation you, hang out with the party girls and hang out with your homeboys that like to party and all. When you become a relocator to that new country, now you're looking at the country in a different way. You're not looking for just where the clubs are. You need to know where the best grocery stores are. Need to know where the hospitals are. You need to know where if you're going to send out packages, you need to know where all your do they have DSL? Do they have FedEx? You need to know where all that stuff is. The everyday local people that you become cool with will show you that. The party people that you hung out with when you were partying in a vacationer, they're 9 times out of 10 are going to show you that. They can tell you where the clubs are, they can tell you where the brothels are, but they won't necessarily be the ones that you want to use to share to find out where the local if you want to go to the local armory and you're like, you know what, I want to get a firearm or whatever it may be. So you're like, okay, let me find out where do I practice. You'll find out all that information from the locals. Why? Because now you're a relocator and not just a vacationer. The quality of women will be different. Why? Because the women that deal with you as a vacationer, as a guy that's only there for like 2 days to 2 weeks, going to be completely different from the women that come your way because you're a relocator and you're officially living in that country now. So it'd be a completely different breed of women that you're going to meet. So that's why I always say, guys, be ready to realize that there's a difference between the two, the vacation you and the relocation you.
Wow, that was an amazing answer. I was learning, and I've been living abroad, and I was learning from you just now. So, work opportunities. How did you? And I don't think that you really do this, but do you have any experience with work opportunities abroad, and what challenges did you face if you did have
Well,
any
well,
opportunities?
with me, that's a good question too. With me, I started off with just like most people. I started off online working. I was doing online before it was a thing. So because I was reading articles about this group called expats. It wasn't digital nomads yet. It was this expat group, and I'm reading these articles about people living in other countries and living in Bali and other parts of the world, and they're working on their computer and they have computer jobs, online jobs, or online businesses. And so, for most of you that don't know, I was an academic college recruiter in the United States for 20 years. At that time period, I'm making between 83 to 87,000 a year. So I'm doing good. I got my nice house in the suburbs in Tampa, got my Ford F-150, got my convertible vehicle. So I'm doing all right for myself. But once I decided to make the transition to another country, I had to come to the conclusion, okay, the country that I'm going to, if I get a job there, will it be equivalent or anywhere close to 83 to $87,000 a year? 9 times out of 10, no. So what I did was I started the process of getting certain certifications that I needed, certain uh, uh, job experience that I needed to begin the process of working full time online. Like I said, this long before COVID, where they forced you to work at home. And so what I ended up doing was I said, okay, now I put my resume out there. Now I'm ready. Put my resume out there, got hired, and now I'm hired already. But check it out, Austin. Before I did all that, because it took me 3 years between the time period I'm sitting in my cubicle saying I'm moving to another country. It took me 3 years later to where I was officially moving to another country. November 26, 2019, took me 3 years. So between that window of 3 years, I was doing preparation work, getting my online job opportunities, getting hired. I got this apartment here a year before I moved full time into Colombia. Why? This apartment is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, as you well know. You've been here. 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 12-foot vaulted ceilings. I took you to the terrace up top to see the $1 million view that we have. We've got security downstairs. We've got a parking garage. We've got the brand new washer and dryer units. The building is only 3 stories high, so we don't have a bunch of tenants around us. We're right next door to the Lemon Tree Park, as Austin well knows. We live in a really quiet, upper middle class neighborhood. This also includes cable, Wi-Fi, and utilities. We only pay $425 a month. So I'm like, wait a minute. You telling me all I got to do is just cut back on my cigars and my brandy in the States, and I can have a whole apartment waiting for me in Colombia every time I come down? So that's what I did. So a year before even moving full-time to Colombia, I already had a place here. Now, during that time period, I'm buying furniture here, buying the television there, getting this here, getting that there, so forth and so forth. But what I did was I made the step. A lot of guys will sit back and say, well, since I'm not going to be in Colombia full time yet, ain't no use of me getting an apartment yet. That me getting an apartment helped solidify my decision, Austin, to move to another country. And it was only a $425 a month solidification. Also, if I could not afford, think about it, if Andre as a grown man could not afford $425 a month extra in my income in the States, making $87,000 a year, I'm doing something wrong, and I don't need to be moving to another country anyway. So me
Wow.
getting the apartment early helped me solidify and verify I'm making the right decision.
Yeah, whenever you add financial responsibility, it does solidify things a lot stronger, in which
Mhm.
I actually need to do that. There's a couple places around the world that I need to actually just say, let me go ahead and actually plant my feet here and get an apartment here and make myself responsible. But I don't know. I guess I can't do it because I'm like, oh, I'm only gonna be there 2, 3 months out of the year. Like I only be in Kenya 2 or 3 months. I'm like, do I really want to waste it? But when you talk about $400, that's wastable. That's wastable. $700 is wastable too. But
Right.
I don't. I just need to go ahead and do it, and I'm working on that now. So the next question I have is education abroad, and I don't know if you've done this, but for those considering further education as a route to move abroad, what advice would you give them about choosing the right program and institution?
I would recommend, because right now the way that the United, let's just go with the US, a person is more prone to get hired now with certifications, with online opportunities, than just with having a degree, a master's, a bachelor's, and so forth, a degree. So now, since you are no longer just focusing on the degree, you can get certifications. Like if you're getting certifications with the help of Theo Wolf with the Black Manosphere Conclave, so you could definitely get help with that. You could also get help when it comes to getting certification while you're in the States in different areas that know you're going to be working online. And so get those certifications. If you want to get a degree, cool, but it's not necessary now the way that the world is. A lot of guys are being hired and ladies are being hired just because they're certified and they have the experience now. They're building experience and they have the certification. So that's the best. That's the cool thing about how the world uh is set up right now for individuals to be hired. The other thing, when it comes to, if you're looking for education in that country, yes, in some countries such as Germany and other parts of Europe, you can go there and you can get education, your bachelor's degree, all the way up to your master's degree and doctorate, absolutely free in many parts of Europe. But are you going to be using that? So if you're going to go to a country and you can take advantage of the educational opportunities, but do it in a way that you're not wasting your time. Because even though you may get a degree, and I've had my bachelor's from so and so and so and so, doesn't mean anything if you're not using it. It just means that you wasted a few years of your life doing something, getting certified in something. I mean, getting a degree in something that you might not be using. That's why people are now leaning more on getting the proper certifications to get employment opportunities, compared to whether they're in a new country or they're still back in their home country, compared to getting a degree if they know they're going to be working online for the most part.
Okay, okay, that's a good question. I mean, I don't have interest in education, but I just thought that'd be a good question for the audience. So, social life, which is my
Oh
field of
yeah.
study, you could say. What strategies have worked best for you to build a vibrant social life in a foreign country?
For me is, don't hang out with foreigners all the time, and hang out with the locals. I know it is kind of odd and weird if you plan on living in Lima, Peru, and you don't know any Peruvians. I understand that. You're not supposed to know them. You're just getting to the country. Come to a conclusion. You are just getting to Thailand. You're just moving to Singapore. You're brand new to whatever country it may be. So embrace that newness. Enjoy that moment of time that everything is going to be new. So when it comes to your networking, I give you a perfect example. One of the coolest dudes that I'm cool with here, Afro-Colombian dude, he was my doctor. Hey, brother, let's exchange numbers, man. I got some questions for you. Now we're cool dudes. Another brother that I met, he's an Afro-Colombian brother. He works in the immigration office when I went and got my last visa. That's my boy now. So when it comes to networking, life is going to open up the doors, because of these were things that I had to take care of anyway. Getting a checkup, had to do that anyway. Go to immigration, had to do that anyway. While I was there, met some cool dudes. Why? Why am I able to do that? Because I'm a cool dude. When you come to new countries with an open personality and willingness to learn about that culture, the universe is going to open up the doors for you to meet people anyway. Whether you're like me, you're a spiritual person, if you're a Muslim, there are so many mosques across South America that you can actually go to. If you're a person that needs to go to the synagogues, they're here too. If you're a person like me, if you like to go to church every Sunday and Wednesday, you have the church services that are just like in the United States, except for in Spanish or in Portuguese. So you have those aspects, those tools of meeting people. Just take advantage of them. Don't put yourself in a shell. You get in your home apartment, your new apartment, and you're like, you become a hermit in a new country because you're scared, because I don't want to make any linguistical mistakes. I don't want to say the wrong words. I want to make sure my Spanish is perfect before I go out there. Brother, the only way your Spanish is, or your Portuguese or whatever language it is going to become perfected, is for you to get your butt out there. Do not hang out with US citizens everywhere you go. I see brothers and sisters do that in Portugal. They'll hang out in a pool of brothers and sisters from the States in Portugal. In Medellin, Colombia, they do that. You have this pool of brothers that'll hang out mostly with brothers from the States. You have brothers in Brazil. You hang out with brothers from the States. It's cool to spend maybe 1 day, maybe 2 days out of the week or the month hanging out with Americans, but you move to a new country. So therefore, it's time for you to start getting close with the locals who can show you how to experience the country better than anybody else. Nobody can tell you, no expat that lives in the country, he's been living there 20 years, can tell you better about your new country than the people that were born in that country. Those are the people you want to hang out with.
Would you say that you had a better social life in Colombia, or I guess abroad, or in the United States?
It's kind of funny. My social life in Colombia is parallel to the one that I had in the States. Remember, I said I was already hanging out with Colombianas and Colombian brothers in Tampa, in Orlando. So my friends were already Puerto Rican, Afro-Colombians. The first Afro-Colombians that I met was hanging out in in the Latin clubs. And so, you know, you in the Latin clubs and you learn in Puerto Rican salsa, and you all of a sudden you see these sisters come in, you think they from the States, and then all of a sudden you start communicating with them and you find out they're from Colombia. You're like, what? They got brothers and sisters in Colombia? And now you come down and you realize it's the norm. So my experience is just a little bit different from the average person. But let's look at it from the perspective of a person that has a social life in the States. Remember, as I mentioned before, bring your routine and it'll help you introduce yourself to other people locally. So if you're going to the gym in the States, you had a cool, group of people that you were cool with in the States, you'll bring that habit to another country. If you're a guy that you only deal with positive women, you'll bring that habit to another country. You'll find yourself gravitating and being pulled towards positive women. If you are a woman that likes to be in like to get your hair done and gossip in the beauty salon or whatever it may be, you'll find yourself finding that particular beauty salon that works well for you. And so the universe does not change because you change to a different location. Who you are is going to follow you no matter where you go. If you're a jerk when it comes to friends in the States, guess what you're going to be in another country? You're going to be a jerk to your friends. If you are a hermit, a person that really standoffish and you aloof in the States, and you kind of like introvert, you'll be an introvert in another country, and you're trying to learn their language at the same time. So you really make your situation problematic. So be ready to make some changes if you want to be a part of a good network of people in the new country.
Agreed. Okay, so number 8 is dating abroad. So can you discuss some unique aspects of dating in the country you're in right now, which is Colombia, compared to the United States? Like, what is the cons and the
The night and
pros?
day.
Or compare and contrast. Compare and contrast is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, in the United States, I can say this: sex and sexiness is a lot easier in the United States than it is in other countries. Ladies, I love you, but it's true. Sex and sexiness, you can get it like that in the United States. You don't even have to know that person's last name, middle name. You just saw her, she just saw you. You know her nickname, and y'all sexing. It's hello, let's get it in. You can get a sexy woman in the States, and you can get you some sex in the States if you can't get nothing else. If you can't get a hello, you can get you some sex and sexiness. So that's a given. When you go to other countries, sex and sexiness, when you're living there, now mind you, when you're a vacationer, you're hanging around the party girls and the fun girls and all that. Yeah, the sex with them is a given. When you are a relocator, you start to kind of be more strategic with the quality of women, or in ladies' case, the quality of men that you find yourself being around. So now you say, okay, now I want to be around a different quality of woman. I'm not vacationing down here. I live here. I don't need to be around party girls all the time. Now I'm going to find myself with a different quality of woman. So now in Colombia is not a hookup culture at all. Colombia women, it amazes you. I've interviewed several Colombia women, and they will tell you, now none of their friends or any of them have ever had a one-night stand. One-night stands in the United States is a term that we use flippantly. But in many countries, it would surprise you. You are not going to hit it the first night, guys. Maybe night 3, maybe week 4, but you're not going to get a good woman to smash her that first night. In many cases, the reason why, because they don't want to be seen like you see the party girls. We're not one of her. And like in my wife's case, she's like, I don't want to dishonor my father's name. I don't want to be known as Andrea Wallace, the girl that was out there wilding out. So she's like, I don't want to dishonor my father's last name. So that's why I'm not like that. And so I find a lot of women down here that don't hook up with dudes the first night. Now, will you eventually get her? 9 times out of 10, if she's into you and you're into her, yes. But the first night, most of them, no. Party girls, yes, you can get them anytime. But once you're living in countries, you don't want a woman that you're going to be serious about. If you're serious about the country, you're serious about the ladies, you don't want the same results that you were getting in the United States. Secondly, when it comes to approach, it is so easy for guys to approach women in Colombia. I remember when you were here and we were at the grocery store. Remember the young lady at the grocery store? And you just walked up to her, asked her for her IG information, and you guys exchanged, bada bing, bada boom. That's how easy it is to approach women in Colombia. It's that easy. But this is the part, Austin. We have been so tarnished in the United States when we approach you. No, don't come my way. We're so tarnished with this childish behavior when we approach women that when we go to other countries, we're shell shocked. It takes a dude a few minutes to realize, did she just really give me her number in Brazil? She gave me her number. Back in the United States, it would have been, in the States, what I love about other countries for the most part, and I'm not coming down on the sisters in the States. I'm just, comparing the two. I'm a Libra. I put it on the scale, ladies. In the States, you sometimes have to come up with, as you're walking up on her as a man, you're like, okay, if she say this, I'm gonna say this. If she says this, I'll say this. If she said, you see what I'm saying? You got to have your game face on when you're approaching a lady. Do I say, excuse me, miss to this one? Do I say to this one, hey, babe? Or do I say to this one? You have your game. In other countries, you don't have to go through that mental dance as you're walking up on a woman if you're interested in her. One of my, you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, no, it took me actually about a full 12 months to actually start cold.
Looks like you froze for a moment on my end.
Actually, just now.
There we go.
What did it freeze?
No, I think it was me.
Okay. Well, yeah, after about 12
me.
months, I actually got in a habit because I used to cold approach in the States, but the way how they responded after so much time, I eventually, well, like you said, just went into a shell and I stopped. And I got to the point I was like, okay, now they just got to make the move. They got to give me a signal at some point. I've never been afraid to cold approach, but it just put me it discouraged me for a while. And now I'm back doing it. I approach whoever I want to talk to. And I will agree. You don't have to think about what you're saying. You don't have to, let me be clever in this way. Just be natural and just talk to like a regular person. Like they're regular, because they are regular people. Talk to them like they're a regular person and, just flirt with them in a very natural way. You don't have to think of these pickup lines and strategy just to communicate with them.
No. And if you notice this, they think that you're playing games. You're not serious. You're just another foreigner coming to their country to use them. Yeah, that's how they look at guys that come with the lines and the games and the slickness and look at my money and look at my go. You come with that in South America, A, you're going to get used. B, they're not the good one that you really wanted. She's not going to take you serious because she's going to think, see, he's coming with those American games. He's just another American that wants to come down here, use us South American women, and then go back home. So you're not looked up on as serious if you come with game. But if you do just like Austin said, just be yourself, be a regular person, all of a sudden the doors open up for you. I use the direction technique. Guys, I'll give you a tip. And I know another brother used this, and he's been with his girl for 3 years. How I met my wife, I approached her and I asked her, would you happen to know where any museums are around here? I'm just moving. coming down to Cali. I don't know anything about it. Next day, my wife was taking me on the date to the museum. And then she took me to a couple of other landmarks. Another guy that I was just telling you about, he walked up to his girl at the bus stop and asked her, "Excuse me, would you happen to know where the bus stop is?" Now, this brother didn't want to know where the bus stop is. He was at the bus stop and he knew it, but he needed that moment just as an icebreaker. And they've been together for 3 years. So just a regular conversation, just because South American people like helping people. So to ask for directions, sure, I'll help you out with that. No problem. And now you've got her number or her IG and you take it from there. But to sit back and try to come with this game and I'm a player and look at me, I could throw money in the air. No, that may be the vacation you. We're talking about the relocation you. You're going to live in this city or live in this country. So now you're going to come with a different approach to the local ladies than you would if you were just a dude that's going to be here 5 days and you're in a rush for everything.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with everything you just said. Thank you for that. So cost of living, how do you manage finances effectively in Colombia, or I guess traveling in general? Well, let's stay in Colombia since you're living there, especially considering the cost of living in the currency exchange.
First thing that I mentioned people is before you go to a country or as you're going to that country as a tourist, begin the process of finding out how much it would cost you per month to live in that country on the side of the city and in the particular city that you want to be in. I give you a perfect example, Austin. Medellin, Colombia is 40% more expensive than Cali, Colombia. Bogota is 40% more expensive than Medellin, Colombia. So you have to ask yourself, I have to pick my poison in regards to knowing the cost of living of each city. If I don't take that in consideration and I think with my vacation mind is used to spending all the money before I get back on that plane. That's the difference between you as a vacationer and a relocator. Relocator says, okay, now let me consider the cost of living. How much will my groceries will be on average per month? And even if you ask the locals, per month, how much would my making sure that I have medical insurance, let me make sure that I have my leisure money. I call leisure money is giving yourself a salary of your salary. So if you're making, let's say you're making $5,000 a month, your leisure money should be a salary in that salary. So okay, my leisure is each month of my leisure money is going to be only $500 of my 5,000. Then I have monies that I put into my savings. You still got to invest, guys. You still got to put money that you're going to get older. So you got to make sure that you have monies that you put to the side for investments and things like that. Or you might want to buy a piece of property in that new country. And then, of course, your cost of living. So that's how I break down my three processes of finances. What the average cost of living per month will be for me, not for anybody else, and not for a local. For example, Andre and I, here in Colombia, the average salary is between $275 to $475 a month for the average Colombian, right? We spend that in groceries. So I can't look at my cost of living based off of the average Colombian's cost of living, completely different. So you have to base your numbers, your metrics off of how you spend when you go to the grocery store, or you're a person that go to the gym. You got to get your protein and pre-workout, all those things. Put that into your calculations. And usually it's not too much anyway. I would say, just for example, for the average person that comes to Colombia, about for everything, including your leisure, outside of your investments, between $2,000 to $2,300 a month. That's just about what you're going to spend for every single thing per month, living in a good neighborhood, even living in a great neighborhood. And that includes all your everything. You're going to spend between $22 to $2,500 a month. So if you're making $5,000, here's the benefit, guys. If you're making $5,000 a month, then now you got an extra $2,500 to invest in this or put it over there or build a brand with it. get all the studio equipment and all this stuff with it, because you're not paying the cost of living that you would pay if you were in the States. Some of you guys are paying rent that's $2,500 a month and more in the States. And just imagine you're living now in a country that your expenses are $2,500 a month for everything, including paying yourself a salary in your salary.
Yes, exactly. Moving abroad gives you a huge power in saving money and investing money by cutting
Yeah.
your cost of living usually by 50%, 60%. I mean, if you're coming from LA, it's probably 70% cheaper to move to Cali, Colombia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So number 10 is mental health. Moving and living abroad can be stressful for a lot of people, as you know, as I know. All other expats that have been going outside the United States for a while know this. What are your recommendations for maintaining good mental health in your new environment?
Like I mentioned before, bring your routines, because your routines are the things that you're comfortable with doing on an average day. A lot of times people come home sick and go through what's called the expat depression or expat anxiety because they haven't created a routine. They come down here, they've got the apartment, they've got the place, and they're looking like everything was supposed to be instant, like it was when they were coming down here on vacation. And now they're sitting there like month 3, and now they're missing home, girlfriends, their homeboys, their just the home atmosphere of college football, whatever it is. They're just missing the atmosphere of the United States or Canada or UK because they did not bring down the daily routines that they would normally do that would allow them to say, you know what, I I, I can do this. I'm good with this. And so that's why dudes or ladies usually go back to the States, because they miss the States because of the routines that they didn't bring along with them uh, for mental health. The other thing is uh, find something new to do that you always want to do. In the United States, man, you a worker bee. Let's be real. You go home, you go to the gym, and you get some sleep. You go home, you go to the gym, get some sleep. You might find a little sex in between there through the week, and that's just about it. We're programmed to be worker bees and spender bees. We're programmed to make the money and spend the money. That's all it is, and make more and spend more. That's how it is in the United States. But you have always wanted to create a brand of something, whether it be an online channel, whether it be you want to write a book, whether it be you want to create a course. There was something in you always want to do. Learn that guitar, play that piano, but you just didn't have the time. Now you're in your new country. Add that to your routine, that thing or those things that you always wanted to do. You always told yourself, you know what? I like to work out, but I never had the time to get off into fitness competitions. Like I always dreamed, I just wanted to be in one competition. Didn't want to win. I just want to be in a competition. Well, now you're in a new country. Now you can focus on getting your body to the point and getting the right trainers to be involved in a fitness competition like you always wanted. So bring your routine. A, create something new that you always wanted to do. Go for it, whether it be learning 2 or 3 languages. In the States, you're like, I ain't get a chance to learn Spanish like I wanted to, or Portuguese like I wanted to. Now you're in the new country, and if you're adding about it more than I am, uh, you can become proficient in another or several languages. So that's the cool part of relocating to another country to get over some of those mental issues. Routine, going after a new goal. The other thing is, it is the spiritual side of it. There's a spiritual side to all of this. So meditation, prayer, reading, quiet time when you're just walking, just the exercise, changing your diet. Because think about it, over 126 foods in the United States are illegal in other countries. I'll say that again. There are 126 foods that you guys eat every day, including your pork, including your chicken, including your beef, that it is illegal to eat Americans' beef, pork, or poultry in other countries. So now you're eating in countries where the eggs or the beef is natural. So even your diet has changed. And so you find yourself changing how you eat. Now you're getting more healthier. You're feeling more good about yourself. Now you're getting a better sleep regimen. All these things taken consideration help you out with your mental transition into the new country. The last thing I want to say is make sure that you don't go to a new country comparative shopping. Yeah, we do that in the United States, keeping up with the Joneses. You know, you see your neighbor with a new truck, you want to get that new truck. Don't do that when you go to another country. Do not compare the United States to your new country. Why? It's your new country. If you want the United States, keep your happy butt in the States. But if you want a new country with new experiences, don't compare the United States to that new country. And here's the irony: what Austin and I and a couple of other guys often talk about. All hey guys, just in case, I already told you, my español es muy mal. Hoy estudiando español. But other than that, my Spanish is, like I said, it's like I just said, it's bad. And today I'm studying it. So be prepared for your boy to have a little bit more Spanish because I'm studying. I'm using Pimsleur now, the Pimsleur app, to help me out when it comes to my Spanish. Because my in-laws and family and even Andrea are like, come on, Andrea, you got to get your Spanish together, man. You've been here too long now. So I have no problem with and I'm not ashamed of what all what I've accomplished, even though my Spanish has not been up to par. But as I was saying, when it comes to moving to another country, don't comparative shop the United States to your other country, because I'll tell you something, 99% of what you have in the United States, other than the illegal stuff, the GMOs, foods and everything, you can get in most countries. Most countries got Amazon. Most countries got the same electronics that you got. Am I kidding? They got Jordans. They've got Adidas. They've got most of the stuff that you are sitting back saying that if I move to another country, they might not have. They've got computers. They've got cameras. We treat other countries as if we leave the United States, you're going to be leaving back iPhones. You see what I'm saying, Austin? Yeah. People make the assumption of thinking that they're going to be leaving back so many products that in Colombia, in the United States, is called Dollar Tree. Literally the same franchises here in most countries. It's called Dollar City. In the United States, it's called Costco's or Sam's Club. In Colombia, right down the street, the same franchise is Price Mart. It's in DR2. In the United States, it's called Home Center and Lowe's. Here in Colombia, it's called no, my fault. In the United States, it's called Home Depot and Lowe's. In Colombia, it's called Home Center. Literally the same products, literally the store set up the same way. They're selling wood to you just like they're selling other products to you, just like Home Depot and Lowe's. You're not missing anything. And so to sit back and come to another country and comparative shop, that hurts guys too, because I remember my first year of driving, Andrea told me, she used to tell me, Andre, but we're not in America. Andre, but you're not in America anymore. Because I used to say, but in America, we drive like, in America, now I keep my mouth shut and I'm on the road enjoying my experience in a new country. I stopped comparative shopping. I stopped comparing how America drives to how the rest of the world drives. And then I found out this, the funny part, Austin, before I kind of wrap this part up, most of the world drives the same. America is the oddball. We think that America is the norm, how you're supposed to drive. No, the other 96% of the world, they basically drive the same. Not America and not UK. America, UK, and Canada drive a certain way, and the rest of the world, they drive the exact same way. And we call how they drive crazy. They're driving crazy. Well, the other 96% of the world are looking at us like, what are you doing? Nobody drives like that. And so now that I'm in another country, I understand how the rest of the world, the majority of the world drives and behaves compared to how the little 4% population of the United States drives. And when you hear me say 4%, that means that the U.S. population only makes up 4% of the planet.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer. So let me read a couple of these super chats really quick. Naman Manga says, Andre, I hope you're ready for Armenia Pereira.
Oh, we love it. We've been there several times. It's a small town outside of right between Medellin and Cali. Really nice.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. It was frozen on my end.
It is those are small. That's the coffee region. It's a coffee triangle. You have Armenia, you have Pareda, you have Manizales. Manizales is Colombia's college town. If you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, they've got five university in this small city known as Manizales. It's really nice, and so it's the coffee region. And so this is where Colombians go on vacation. This is where Colombians hang out. This is where Colombians, you wonder where Colombians go on vacation in their country is not to the beach area. It's usually into the inner area of the country, because that's where Colombians, thrive from. They thrive and were raised as country folks that move to the city. So at the end of the day, when they're on vacation, they go back to the country and enjoy themselves. So those towns that he just mentioned are great towns.
Okay. Inspired Truth Broadcast in a $2 super chat from Saucero. Thank you for the super chat. Black Nubian said, I 100% agree. I got a number in the airport. Thank you for the
Shout out
super
to you,
chat.
brother.
Fearless Travels. Shout out to
my
you.
boy.
He sent a $2 super chat. He said, shout out to my two favorite travel content creators. Shout out to you as well.
Yes, sir. Good man. Good man. Good wife.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a $5 super chat from Next Level. He said, if you had a classic car, would you bring it abroad or sell it? Could you share some pros and cons to importing a classic car you own?
That's a good question. Here, and I've already looked that up. Here in Colombia, the shipping part is so inexpensive. You can ship a vehicle to Colombia, DR, Mexico, a lot of places, not Mexico because you just drive it across, but a lot of places for less than $1,200. What gets you is the 19% tariff tax once you get to Colombia. So let's say your car is worth $10,000. You got to put an extra 19% on top of that to get it into the country. Let's say it's worth $50,000. You got to put an extra 19% on top of that to get it into the country. So you have to ask yourself, is this vehicle really worth it? And do realize Colombia is a country of car shows. This is what a lot of guys don't know about. Classic car shows. A lot of classic vehicles that you can purchase down here in Colombia, as well as you can get Ferraris and everything else, and Corvettes and all those vehicles here. They're going to be having the Tesla's Cybertrucks here next year, early next year. The Tesla Cybertrucks will be here in Colombia. So as I always say, a lot of stuff that here in Colombia, they've got the e-cars and the e-vehicles, just like in the States. But classic cars, I'd sell. If it were me personally, I sold my motorcycle. I had a Honda VTX 1100. I sold my motorcycle. I sold my cars, my Honda X1, my Harley Davidson edition, a Ford F-150. I sold that. And so you have these nostalgia feelings about these vehicles, but you sell them if you're not going to live in the United States, or if you're not going back to the States that often. So if you're a person that going back to the States really often, you might want to keep it. But if you're a person like me that I haven't been back to the States in 4 years. So I'll be going back in June to visit family. But so for me to have kept a vehicle, it would have been moot. And so it depends on how often you're going to be in the States. And so just sell it and buy you a new classic in your new country. Most countries have amazing classic vehicles that are just like yours and are less expensive than what it would be to bring it over.
Okay. So let me see. Is it still frozen? Okay. The next question I have is we have a few questions left, which is legal essentials. What are some legal aspects that expats often overlook but are crucial for a smooth experience abroad?
Okay, cool. That's great. That's a good set of questions. In regards to legalities, like I mentioned, make sure that you bring your birth certificate. Of course, you're going to have your passport with you. Make sure that you get international health insurance. It's called international health insurance. You got IMG has international health insurance. You've got Blue Cross Blue Shield. They have what's called Blue Go. That's international health insurance. So those are the basic things that's on the legal side that you want to have for yourself. As far as you needing a attorney, like a lead attorney or anything, most expats don't put themselves in problematic situations. If you notice this, most expats don't put themselves in problematic situations that vacationers do. Vacationers, somehow, somewhere, we're on vacation. We're like, I got 15 days, I'm acting wild. But when you live in a country, you find yourself kind of just blending in, and you don't find yourself in legal ramifications. Now, let's talk about the legalities also of when you marry somebody compared to the United States. In the United States, you have no fault divorces, and you have major child support and alimony and attorney fees. Here in Colombia, there's no such thing as no fault divorce. Colombia has a 9% divorce rate compared to the United States at 51% divorce rate. Why is that? Because in Colombia, when you get married, and we're just talking about legalities, there's a laundry list of things that a person has to do before you can officially file for a divorce. So if your wife is not cheating, if your wife is not beating, if the husband is not treating the kids bad, if he's not an alcoholic, if he's not hooked up, if he doesn't hit any of the marks, you can't get a divorce in Colombia. They'll tell you go to counseling, y'all better work that out. Ain't nobody give y'all a divorce because you don't like each other no more. What are you talking about? And so in Colombia, you're not just going to up and leave her, and she's not going to up and leave you. But legally, if you do that to your wife, you just say, I'm going to leave her for my mistress. Okay. She could take you to civil court and sue you for half of your proceeds for life. Same thing with your wife. If she decide one day, I don't love my husband no more, I don't feel the love, and you haven't broken any of the legal laws that says that she should leave you, you can sue her in civil court for half of her lifetime of proceeds. You can't just up and leave somebody. If you do get up and leave somebody, you have to amicably leave each other for 2 years. You have to live in a different household for 2 years here in Colombia. Then you can file a divorce. But if you're still living together and you haven't broken any of the rules of the marriage, your wife can't just up and leave you like a person could do in the States. The other thing that's legal in legality here in Colombia is you only separate 50% of what you acquired in the marriage. In the marriage. For example, if you walked into the marriage with 5 million, that's your 5 million after the marriage. If she walks in the marriage with 5 million, that's her 5 million after the marriage. Whatever you acquired together, that's what's split in the middle. And you get your proceeds and she gets her proceeds, and you walk away with whatever you came in with, and she walks away with whatever she came in with. Unlike the States, a woman could just be with you for a few months and she just taking half of what you got. And she getting child support, and she getting alimony, and she's getting the attorney fees being paid for. So you find that being problematic. Also, here in Colombia, when it comes to marriage, is such thing as we're just talking about the laws. There's such thing as it's a common law country. In other words, if you are living together for 2 years, remember this, guys. Yeah, I got your little Colombian girlfriend. She living in your little apartment for 2 years. Legally, that's your boo. She has all the rights of a wife. That means that when you guys separate, whatever you acquired together, even though you didn't legally marry her, she gets 50% of whatever it is you guys acquired together. She gets 50% of that. So make sure that you guys remember, if you're going to have your Colombian girlfriend and you got her living in your house for 2 years, yeah, the Colombian courts will say she legally has the right to have half of whatever you guys acquired together. Not before, not all that you had before. Like I said, if you come into the relationship with 5 million, that's your 5 million. But whatever you guys acquired in that 2 years plus of being together, that gets split down the middle. So make sure that you guys don't make the mistake of thinking that, I could just have me a Colombian chick shacking up with me. All right, keep on playing with Colombia. So when you go to another country, you have to know what are some of the legal ramifications that take place. For example, as you well know, in Thailand, if you marry a woman in Thailand and you guys buy a house, because she's Thai, she has 51% of the stake in the house. In other words, when she leaves you, that house 9 times out of 10 will go to her because she has 51% of stake in the house compared to your 49%. So a lot of guys make the mistake and get married in Thailand. You in love, you buy a house, and she has been hustling you the whole time to get you to buy a house. And now she's ready to leave you. And according to Thai courts, whoever has the buying power or the selling power, they're the ones that can move it. And since she has that 1% over you, she could take the house, keep it, or sell it. So you have to know the laws of what's taking place in another country.
Wow, that was very informative. It actually sounds better. The United States should have that same step that the woman cannot get what you had before. Well, it makes me wonder, why do they have it like that in the United States? That why is she entitled to what you achieved before she even knew you or before you even married her? It makes more sense in Colombia. It sounds way more logical. I completely understand it. So that's very interesting. So this is something I'm working on. I know you've already worked on this in Colombia, which is long-term residency. For those considering a
Right.
longer stay, like you and I, what steps does someone need to secure to get a residency status in Colombia or any country?
These are the two major, I was thinking about three, but I would say the two major visas that are taking place in many countries around the world because they're trying to get as many people as possible into their countries. The first one is the retirement visa. We're going to talk about that for a split second. And the second one is the digital nomad visa. We're going to just talk about Colombia right now, but Brazil has it, Portugal has it, Italy has it, France has it, Thailand. There's a lot of places that have the digital nomad visa now compared to just a few years back. The retirement visa in Colombia is if you are a person that's on a pension or you're like ex-military and y'all got your retirement pension, or if you just you're done working for a company, you're a blue collar dude and you're done and you're getting your retirement pension right now, uh, or if you're a person that you're on the pension or you're military, yeah, pension or military, you can have what's called the retire or Social Security. That's what I was trying to think of. So pension, ex-military, or if you're on Social Security, you can get the retirement visa. How much do you have to have per month? If you can prove that you are getting on average $800 a month sent to your bank account, you can apply for the retirement visa here in Colombia. I know a lot of ex-military guys have their retirement visa here. It is so, especially for you guys, it is super simple. And for you individuals that are on Social Security, extremely easy. And also for you all that are on pensions. So you apply for the retirement visa. And usually your first visa is for a year. They'll give you a visa for a year. Then they'll give you your second visa for 2 years. Your third visa, which I'm up under right now, will be the permanent visa. That means that you in your new home country, you never have to apply for a visa. My next step, which will be next year, that's why I got to get my Spanish on track. I don't have a choice. I am eligible for Colombian citizenship. Most countries do dual citizenship, so you don't have to give up your home country citizenship to get another citizenship. I have all the rights of most Colombians except for right now, I don't have the right to vote, which I'll have next year, and I don't have a Colombian passport, which I'll have next year. I have a credit line already down here. I get credit cards already down here. I have my driver's license already down here. All those things. So when you get your retirement visa, you get the first one for a year, second one for 2 years, third one is your permanent. So no matter how many years go by, you never have to fill out for another visa, and the next step is your citizenship. Now, the digital nomad visa. If you can prove that you are working for yourself or for a company online, you only have to prove that you are making $684 a month to be approved for the digital nomad visa. Andrea, my wife, that's part of her profession. She helps guys get their visas. She's done all my visa work. And so she helps individuals with getting their visas. She's got like 4 guys that she's helping get their visas renewed because she helped them last year get their first visa, and now they're renewing their visa. And it's the same thing. Your first time getting your visa, it will be a year. Your second time applying, just a few months before your first visa expired, it'll be for 2 years. And then your third one will be your permanent visa, just like with the retirement visa. And then you can apply for your citizenship. Now, the one that I really didn't want to talk about too much was the marriage visa, in which I'm up under, because everybody is not planning on getting married. But it's the same thing with marriage visa. Your first one will be for a year, second one will be for 2 years, your third one is permanent, and then you go for your citizenship. And it's not difficult to do when it comes to getting your digital nomad visa. It's not a trick. It's not you got to be somebody special. You got to be a diplomat or something. Anybody can apply for it, just regular everyday dudes. In most countries that have digital nomad or have a retirement visa, they make the process super easy.
Okay, so with having the residency and citizenship in other countries, can you elaborate on what you know about how I can make the best of my tax situation living in Colombia or living in another
Oh,
country?
yeah. I like this one. Okay. A lot of Americans don't know this, but most of us don't, unless we're travelers. There are major tax benefits for living outside the United States as a U.S. citizen. Remember what I said, you don't have to give up your U.S. citizenship. The first tax break is an exemption that we get, which is, and it goes up every year because of cost of living goes up. So just like the military get a cost of living increase, or those on Social Security get a cost of living increase, we as expat get a version of a tax break cost of living increase. When I first start coming down here, Austin, the break that you would initially get was $102,000 tax break. That means that if you don't make $102,000, all the money that you made that from your business, from your job, from everything is tax free. 98%, I already looked this stat up. 98% of all expats that don't live in the United States don't pay any American taxes. We have to file taxes according to your passport, line 4 or line D. If you open up your passport, it says that it has A, B, C, D. Line D says you have to file your taxes, but most of us, we don't pay no damn tax. No, we don't, because we got so many breaks. Now, this year, filing taxes for me and for expats, it's moved up to 120,000. So as long as, for me as an example, as long as I don't make $120,000 in 2023 when I file my taxes, all of my money is tax free. All of it, every bit of it.
That $120,000, just to clarify, that's not gross 120. You're talking about the net profit, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the net profit, right? Absolutely correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely correct. Meaning if what you bring home in your salary.
Yeah.
Or if you're a business owner, it could be, and you're a sole proprietor. In other words, it's not your business taxes, but whatever you bring to yourself, you are able to get $120,000. Right, that's the first break that we get, is that tax exemption. The second one we get is 18% of the $120,000. What is this 18% tax break? For your rent in another country, car note, the purchase of a vehicle, your car insurance, you purchase clothes, you purchased a new computer, all of the things that you do to take care of yourself, your groceries, all of that is tax-free up to 18% on top of the 120,000. So 18%, you got the $120,000 already. Then you got another 18% on top of that of $120,000. That is a cost of living tax break that you get. If you are in school, you get a tax break. So anything that's books or studying, anything that you're getting certifications for online, that's a tax break. So you see how all these tax breaks are set up to where by the time you get done filing your taxes, you end up paying nothing. That's why 98% of all expats have to file taxes. Well, 100% of us have to file taxes, but 98% don't pay taxes. We get we get a COLA increase every year, every single year. And the other thing, Austin, when it comes to taxes, you have to file your taxes as an American in the States. You better have them done by April 15th on average. We automatically get a 2-month extension. Expats don't have to have their taxes done until June 15th. And
Wow.
if you need more, if you need more than that, no problem. You just fill out a form, a quick form with the IRS, and you can get an extension to October 15th to fill out your 2023 taxes. Even though you don't have any taxes that you're going to be paying. So now the monies that you're saving, they go into investments now. Because if I was back in the States, I'm paying taxes. But since I get so many tax breaks because I don't live in the States, and here's the policy. You have to have been living outside the United States for 330 days of the year. That's how it works, guys. In other words, in 2023, if I was out of the United States for 330 days of the year, I am eligible to apply for the tax exemption of that $120,000. Here's the second one. Let's say you're in the States 4 months, but your job is in another country. You can get that tax exemption. So if your full-time job is in another country, but you're going to be spending a few months in the States, you still can get that $120,000 tax break because your job or your form of employment is outside the United States year round. You're not in the States working year round. You're outside the United States year round. So therefore, even if you spend 4 months in the States visiting family, as long as you can verify that your money is being made outside the States, normally you get that $120,000 tax exempt, including the 18% cost of living exemption. And then not including what most people that travel, you get a tax break for VAT tax. The VAT tax is, let's say, Austin, you go to a country and you buy a cologne. That cologne is $100 and they put a 19% tax on it. So it's $19 on there. You get that back at the airport. You get that back at the airport. You can get that back at the, or you can, when you get back to your home country, you get that VAT tax back. In other words, most countries don't do double taxation. In other words, you're paying taxes in the United States already, and then you go travel to another country and you have to pay taxes. No, you get that taxes on that back. For example, when I was in London, I just so happen to have a cologne sitting here. I ordered this cologne here, right? This cologne package. And so I paid for this cologne package. And it was $200, right? For this cologne. This is the Francis and Kirkland cologne set, right? The Baccarat 540 and all that. I paid $200 for it. It came with a tax on top of it in London. When I got back to the United States, I was able to get my monies back, put on my card the tax of it, because I filled out the form, sent it in. A few weeks later, the tax money came back into my bank account, and this was only $200 instead of being $200 plus tax. So there are so many tax breaks that you get.
Let me ask you this about the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion Act, about the 100. What do you say, 100,000? Do you have to
this year's
have a
120.
residency in another country in order to apply for that?
No, you just have to be out the United States for 330 days.
Okay.
For example, like you were going out the United States for 330 days, you can get the exemption. Guys like Ace Live, guys like Check and Effect, guys like other guys that travel, other YouTubers that travel, Passport Heavy, Jabril, you get the same tax break because you were outside of the United States 330 days a year. When you file your tax forms, make sure that you, like I said, we have until June 15th to do ours. So make sure that you fill out that particular tax exemption form as well. And you're going to get that $120,000 right out the gate. The other thing that I found out with expats, you got a lot of expats that leave the country and they be like, man, I ain't filed taxes, man, in 10 years, man. I ain't filed taxes in about 15 years. And you find out once they decide to finally file taxes. And I talked to one lady a couple of weeks ago. She hadn't filed taxes in U.S. taxes as an expat in 20 years. But I did know this. They only go back 6 years. For expats, they only go back 6 years. So no matter how many years that you hadn't filed taxes and you living outside the United States, they only go back 6 years. And 99% of them that do file taxes after so many years of not filing taxes, they pay zero. They pay zero because we got so many tax breaks on tax breaks on tax breaks. And it's crazy. Now I understand why Leonardo DiCaprio lives outside the United States. Janet Jackson lives outside the United States. Eve lives outside the United States. These tax breaks that you get, there are so many tax breaks that you get for living outside the United States, man. You sit back and you look at the average U.S. citizen struggling paying taxes. But we love y'all. We want y'all to stay right there. Be your worker bees. Pay them taxes. Keep the American dollar strong for us. And we'll take advantage of all the tax breaks that you don't. We love you. We love y'all.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
For real.
So my next question is, can you share an instance where you encountered a cultural misunderstanding and how you handled it?
I handled it wrong all 3 times. And all 3 times had to do with traffic. So somebody bumped into our truck. We got a SUV, brand new 2020, right? The Equinox. And the Equinox is called the Captiva here in Colombia, right? Somebody bumped into our vehicle. I'm snapping. I'm doing the American. I'm loud as you gonna pay it. Where's the police, right? And what ended up happening is, according to Colombian policy, if it is not a major fender bender, if it's just a bump or a dent or, exchange of paint, y'all got to work that out while y'all standing there. Ain't no police coming. So the guy said, hey, Dre, all I got is 200,000 pesos. And I live 2 blocks away. I ain't got the money on me, but I go get the money. I'll leave my car right here. And this is what he did. He walked down the street, got the money, and came back. And the damage was like maybe 500,000 pesos, which is like take away the 3 zeros, divide by 4. So it was like $150, $175 worth of damage. It wasn't nothing major. But the way that I put a show on, you'd have thought that this dude destroyed the car. So I had to learn, Andre, don't be an American, the famous rude American in other countries, especially if it's not that serious. I had to learn to realize you got to calm down, bruh. I know in America we rah-rah and we snap off and we want everything to be fair and equal. No, it's not like that in every country. And you make Americans look bad with your behavior. And the other time somebody bumped into me, it was 2 old ladies. I must have been having a bad day. I looked at them old ladies, man. I was like, look at what you just did to my vehicle. You were turning this way. They were old ladies, Andre. They both had to be in their 70s. It wasn't that serious. So now these older ladies are walking away like, I told you those Americans are rude. So now over time, I realized a lot of stuff that I used to get upset about or moved by or my Americanness, I don't move like that anymore because I realized that the world is not America. Remember, once again, America only makes up 4%. I want you to let this sink in, guys. We as Americans, we only make up 4% of the planet's population. We're not even barely over 500 years old as a country. Everybody else's country 5,000 years old. And so for us to not acclimate to these countries is embarrassing and disrespectful to these new countries and cultures. So I realized, Andre, you can't be a jerk and you know you're a good dude at heart in these other countries because they don't drive like Americans. Well, they don't. And you're not in America, in North America, you're in South America. So what are you going to do about it? You're going to go back to the States? No, then you're going to have to learn how to handle yourself in these people culture. And I've learned that, and I'm more at peace because I don't act like the rude American. Now I look at rude Americans now, Austin. I'm like, yeah.
Screen froze again. Yeah,
Did it?
yeah, I would agree. I've had a few issues as well where I had cultural misunderstandings, and I think I handled them all right. But so the next question, and we have about 5 questions left, which is local cuisine. What's been your approach to exploring and enjoying local cuisine in Colombia, and how has it impacted your experience of the culture?
That's a man, that's a good question. Um, what for me, most guys come down here to Colombia and they eat the average everyday local cuisine because they come down here with a budget. They don't know where to go to get some of the best meals that you've ever had in your life. So they're eating tilapia fish, the arepas, they're eating for breakfast and eggs, they're eating a lot of rice, beans, things like that. So they come to Colombia and their eating habits are boring. I'll say right out the gate. Or they eat Americanized food, like somebody put in Pizza Huts and the Little Caesars, the Papa John that's down here, the Americanized restaurants. They'll eat those things because they're familiar with the KFCs and the Kentucky Fried Chickens and things. I mean, the KFCs and the Burger Kings, right? But me personally, and this will be you guys when you decide to relocate to another country. All of a sudden, now that you relocate there and you're not just vacationing there, you find the best cuisines, the best restaurants, the restaurants that would have cost you $500 a plate, $600 a plate in the United States. Now you're only paying $80 for a couple to go into these top-notch 5-star restaurants. I think the most that we've ever paid as a couple for a restaurant, and that was in Bogota in a very exclusive restaurant, was $125 a piece. And this was like top-notch Michelin star winning chefs type of thing. So we go to some of the best restaurants in our cities because the cost of living allows you to afford to go to the best restaurants. But when you're a vacationer, you don't know where the best restaurants are. And usually, this is the crazy part, most of us dudes that are vacationers, we only do our homework for the party areas. Like you're like, okay, I'm going to Cartagena. Where's the best areas to party? So we research that. But when it comes to some of the best places for us to eat, a lot of us, especially as brothers, we don't research what are some of the best 5-star, top-notch, caviar restaurants in those locations. And so that's what I see that a lot of guys miss out on. Some of the best chefs, some of the best cooks, some of the best Chinese foods, some of the best Persian foods are in Colombia, but guys rarely take advantage of some of these amazing, beautiful, eclectic restaurants that are available.
Okay, I would agree. The next one is one that is very important for people to understand, which is safety tips. What safety tips can you offer to new expats to help them navigate through their new environment securely?
The first thing is one that we often talk about: stay off the dating apps, guys. Well, I had good luck with dating apps. You had good luck with dating apps so far. I'm going to say this again. Many of you had good luck with dating apps so far. Most guys that live here, they get to the point where they realize, I really don't need the dating apps because I can approach women as easily as Austin Holloman does. So a lot of guys stay away from the dating apps when they relocate here. And a lot of ladies usually don't use the dating apps at all. The other thing, when I would say to the ladies, this is to the ladies, if you're going to locate to another country and you know that your currency is more than what that currency is for the average guy that's living there, boo, you're going to be paying for a lot of dates. You're going to be paying for a lot of condoms. You're going to be paying for a lot of hotel rooms. It is what it is. Your U.S. currency is worth more than their Italian dollars or their Spanish dollars or the Portuguese dollars or the Brazilian dollars. Wherever you're going, sisters, do realize your money stretches further. So therefore, you're going to be paying for, in all sincerity, a lot of condoms, a lot of hotel rooms, and a lot of dates. Because for that guy to take you out on a date, he might be able to take you to you're going to be paying for a lot of drinks at the clubs. Because for him to take you, for example, Colombians, for you to take a Colombian out on a date, or him to take you out on a date, that might be a third of his income. The way you like to eat, sisters, and the way that you like to, you like the best restaurants. I mean, in other words, since you like to go to the best, okay, cool. He spends the money, but that's a third of his monthly wages. Compared to if you pay the bill, you're going to end up paying, it's next to nothing to you. And so do remember that, ladies, when you decide to be passport sisters, do realize that most of the countries that you're going to be going to, whether it be in Africa or whether it be in South America or even in Asia, many parts of Asia, you're going to be footing the bill. And I don't think a lot of women, YouTubers, tell that truth about the expenses of dating in other countries. And a lot of times you ladies are, drizzle, seriously. You're going to do a lot of soft guy era in a lot of countries, ladies. But when it comes to the guys, be wise with your money when it comes to dating. So first thing, stay away from the apps. Second thing, Colombia is set up for you to meet somebody through somebody or walk up to somebody while they're on their job, like Austin did when he was with me. He couldn't sit back and say, well, does she have a job? She was on her job. A lot of guys meet women while they're working at the pharmacy. They meet women as they're walking out of class. They have their work uniform, their nurse uniform on. They'll meet them then. A lot of guys meet women when they are taking advantage of meetup.com, and this woman is an investor, and now you meet her. I've met a lot of women that make it safer for me to meet a lot of women when I was single. Even now, I meet a lot of women, Austin, when I'm salsa dancing. A lot of people don't really do. Please learn salsa dancing or some form of dancing when you come to Colombia, or when you come to South America, because I kid you not, it will amaze you. The average salsa song is about 7 minutes long. While you're twisting and spinning that person around, you get to know their name, how many kids they got, where they work, are they single? I mean, it's crazy how much information you get talking to a woman just in the middle of a dance. Just while you're dancing, you both are conversing and learning about each other, and just having a great time on the dance. And by the time the song is over, when I was single, all I had to do was just basically pull my phone out, and she would pull her phone out, because we already knew each other from that 1 6-minute dance. And so there's so many other ways for guys to meet women other than going to, let me go to these apps, let me swipe right. That's one of the most dangerous things that you can do in South America. Secondly, don't go to areas that you know that aren't safe for you as an expat. Yeah, you can hang in the hood. I was raised in the hood of Chicago and DC. I got you, brother. But if you don't have a connection like a friend or a colleague or somebody that you know in those neighborhoods, don't go into those neighborhoods. And actually, you're above those neighborhoods anyway. Why bust your butt in the States to finally get out the hood economically just to fly 3,000 miles to go hang out in the hood? That doesn't make any sense. You did all that work to get out the hood of Detroit just so you can fly to Brazil and go up in the favelas all the time. Sometimes it's cool, but all the time? That's the difference between how you should treat yourself. I'll say this again, how you should treat yourself in another country that helps you stay safe. I've never come close to a situation where I've got robbed or drugged, and I've never come close to that because I don't hang out with certain people that behave a certain way, and I don't go into environments that I don't need to go to. And because I have a vehicle, most of the places I go to, Austin, have security there. There's security when I go into the mall's parking lot. There's security when I go into the grocery store. Since I go to the best restaurants because they're affordable, There's security waiting and valet waiting at the best restaurants. So when you find yourself going to places that you know that are most of the time secure, even if I have to go downtown to take care of some the visa, there's security there in the visa office, in the immigration office. So a lot of times I go to places that I already know that's secure. I've got security on the block. We've got security for our buildings. And so you don't necessarily have to purposely go out and be thirsty. That's another thing. That's the last thing I want to say is do not be thirsty in these foreign countries. Yes, she's attractive. She's gorgeous. You've never seen a Brazilian that looks like that. If you come across thirsty, you're going to get used, whether it be used immediately for money or whether it be used, you become a Western Union poppy sending her money. You don't want that. You didn't move to this other country to get used. So take your time, be patient. The right person will come along. I just finished getting off the phone a couple of days ago, Austin, with a brother that he did a consultation with us. Then he moved down to Colombia. He did a couple trips. He wasn't in a rush for the ladies. Did a couple trips, visited a few cities. While he was visiting a few cities, met his current fiance that they've been together for a year, and they just had their first child this past week, and they're still already putting together everything together to where they were already planning on getting married anyway. So because the brother wasn't thirsty, he found the right woman for him, and he's enjoying himself. Those of you that aren't looking for a relationship, but you still want the right women in your life, don't come across thirsty in these countries, because if you do, you will get used, and you will get used fast.
I would agree. So we got two super chats. One is from Destroyer Simps. He says American black women and simps hate Austin because he's on a mission to free the black American man from the matriarchy, slavery in America. I would agree. I didn't even look at it that deep, but I would agree. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. And JW says, Andrew, the church you attend, Andre, the church you attend, do they have an English service or is it only in Spanish? Have you heard of any church services in English in Cali?
All the ones that I've seen so far are in Espanol, but they do have the translator on the screen up top. Because I go to like not a mega church, but it's like 2,000-3,000 people in the church. So we go to a rather large church, but they're very, very close community. It's not like mega churches in the States. It's a very close-knit church. And so a lot of times they'll have the music translated, or they'll have what Bible verse. But I don't want it to be translated. I don't want it to be translated in English. I need it to be in Espanol so I could get familiar. It could remain familiar with Spanish being around me when my wife is around and when she's not around. Like I said, Andrea's not around 90% of the time. So what am I supposed to do? Could y'all exchange those Bible verses and put it in English for me? No, I'm good. I need it to be in Spanish to push me even more. I've been so busy for the last 6 years focusing on the business side of being here, Austin. I took for granted the cultural side of learning Spanish. So now I got to study Espanol like everybody else. But at least I was able to establish myself on the business side. Great accomplishment, Dre. So it's time for me to really put the same energy into mastering Spanish.
Okay. So the next question, and I believe you touched on it slightly, but it's about healthcare. How do you navigate the healthcare system in a foreign country, and what should expats know about it?
Oh, great. The reason I say great because I just had surgery, major surgery, not even 3 weeks ago. So I could tell you from beginning to the end how good South American medical is. Let's just go from what the World Health Organization says. For 10 years, the United States, out of 104 developed countries, ranked number 37 in the world for healthcare. Now we're number 1 in the world when it comes to how expensive our healthcare is. Number 1. But when it comes to the quality, number 37 of 104 developed countries. Colombia, number 22. This past year, Austin, they came out with a new list, the World Health Organization. Of 104 developed countries, you know where United States ranks? number
Wow.
70. It dropped
Wow.
from number 37 for 10 years to the quality of healthcare in the United States is number 70. In Colombia, number 36. So the healthcare in Colombia is twice as much better, and yes, less and twice as inexpensive, if not 4 times as inexpensive, depending on what it is, compared to the United States. I know a guy that came down here, Austin, that I met a couple years ago. I was having some coffee, he was having some coffee, and we realized that we both were from the States. And I said, well, what brings you down here? He said, I came down here for cancer surgery. And I was like, wow. He said, no. He said, man, they did a great job. He said, my copay for my surgery in the States was $12,000 just out of my pocket. He said, I came down here to Colombia for my medical, for the surgery, for my recovery, and for all the medication, $1,200 out of my pocket for cancer surgery.
Wow.
I didn't realize the severity until I just recently had surgery. And you know what my copay was, Austin? $0. I pay $0 copay because I have Colombian insurance. Therefore, and I'm going into, I'm thinking that's going to be minor surgery because I had surgery on my throat. I had a little small cyst on my throat from projecting my throat for the last 5 years on YouTube. My throat, it got to me, doing so many channels. And so now I had a little small cyst on my throat, and they said, we're going to go in, do laser surgery, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking it's going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be easy. I'll lay back. I'll wake up, blah, blah, blah. No, I get to the hospital. They put me in a robe, Austin. They rolling me into the operating room. I'm like, oh, this is real surgery. So I'm about to experience real surgery in Colombia. Okay. They give me the mask, count to 10. I think I made it to 3. I'm out. Next time I wake up, I'm pain free. I'm thinking my throat is going to be like when you get your tonsils taken out, full of pain, no pain, laser surgery, and I'm in the recovery room. I get myself, a couple hours later, I'm heading out with Andrea. The only thing that I had to do was not talk for 5 days. Now notice my throat is not in pain, so there was no problem. They were just like, in order for it to heal properly, Andre, you cannot talk for a week. I'm like, what? Andre can't talk. So I literally could not use any words. I know you're laughing. As much as I talk, I couldn't talk for a week, even though I could talk. But other than that, the medication was $0. Didn't pay anything for the medication. All of it was covered. And they did excellent work. Great staff. Just like the one guy that had the cancer surgery said, Colombia, shout out to Colombia for their surgery. So it is with me. Shout out to Colombia for their surgery. Because I know in the States, they would have raked the coals over my wallet, getting as much money as possible from me in copay and extra costs when it comes to medication. And I pay nothing for major surgery just a couple weeks ago. So I can tell you from experience that a lot in Thailand guys say that as well. In Singapore, guys say that as well when it comes to their health care, that a lot of these other countries have excellent health care, even though, do realize this, guys, just because America has the most expensive health care doesn't mean that we have the best health care. That's why we rank at number 70 of 104 countries instead of number 1 when it comes to healthcare. So don't fool yourself because we got these fancy buildings and big hospitals that we're treated any better. Actually, America, Austin, ranks number 6 in the world for malpractice lawsuits. In other words, and they say why? America ranks number 6 in the world for leaving stuff in your body after surgery.
What?
Whether it be cotton, whether it be a utensil, whether it be something that they were supposed to take out, but they left it in. America ranks number 6 in the world for leaving something in your body that shouldn't have been left there.
Wow.
Straight up. Right. And America's the only developed country in the world that doesn't have paid family medical leave when a woman is pregnant. Every developed country in the world has days off for women that are pregnant. Every country. United States is the only country on the developed country on the planet. On the planet, you can't name a developed country on the planet that doesn't have paid medical leave for the mother and or the father. Only the United States. Bernie Sanders has been fighting for that for years to get Americans to get paid family medical leave. Don't have it. Colombia has it. Brazil has it. Argentina has it. Ecuador has it. Guatemala has it. El Salvador has it. Panama has it. United States, no, the only country, but yet it's the most expensive.
Wow. We got another question. I couldn't believe that they said they leave a utensil. That's just reckless and ridiculous. That's crazy. William Parker said, "Is it possible to have both American and Colombian insurance at the same time?" Thank you for the super chat.
It depends on which insurance you're talking about. Are you talking about medical insurance or are you talking about life insurance? When it comes to life insurance, if you're not a Colombian citizen, you won't be able to get life insurance in Colombia. So therefore, you get your like I said, don't forget to get life insurance before you leave the United States. If we're talking about medical insurance, you can't get Colombian medical insurance unless you're a Colombian citizen. I get Colombian medical insurance because I'm married a Colombiana. However, don't forget what I mentioned earlier. You guys get what's called, and don't forget this, look up IMG. IMG is excellent for their international health insurance. That's what you'll get for most countries. They're going to ask you, do you have international health insurance? Like I said, IMG is great. Blue Cross Blue Shield has one, which is Blue Go. That's a great one too. And because you're not a citizen of these countries yet, so they're like, okay, if something happens to you, how are you going to cover your insurance? Well, I have international. In your case, you would say I have international health insurance, and it's not expensive. It'll take you 20 minutes to get it online, and they're going to ask you that for when you get your visa anyway. All countries ask you that. Okay, you want to come to this country? Yes. Do you have international health insurance? Unless that country automatically offers insurance to foreigners. So if that country automatically offers insurance to foreigners, you can take advantage of that. But in many cases, they don't offer that. They don't offer that.
That's good information. No, so one of my we have 3 questions left. Expat communities. How important have expat communities been in your experience abroad? And how can new best engage with these groups?
Expat community is there are a couple types of expat communities that you'll find in foreign countries. All expat, Austin could attest to this, all expat communities are not created equal. You've got expat communities that still think they're on vacation. Am I right, Austin?
Yes.
They've been living in a country for years and they treat it like they're still party boys on vacation. It's almost like a fraternity. Then you've got expats that are serious about their life here in other countries. And those are the ones that you want to be around. You don't want to be around the ones that still think they're on vacation because you won't get the real experience. You've got some guys that are down here and all they do is pay for play for the last 7, 8 years. Like, dude, you live here now. What are you doing pay for play for all the time? But they will still do pay for play because they had that habit from when they were vacationing in these countries. So there's a difference between the expat communities. So everybody that's an expat, that don't necessarily mean you need to hang around them. So there are expats that a community that, as Austin well knows, that they are serious about living down here. A part of that expat community is some of the locals that they're cool with. And at the same time, they can show you where to get this from. Like if you say, I want to buy me a car, okay, they can show you where to get a car. If you have an emergency, those expats will make sure that you got money in your pocket just in case of an emergency. If you need to find out something that's like your visa, those local expats can help you out with your visa. Those are the ones that you want to be around, not the expats that are down here and they're still on party mode all the time. Nothing wrong with being on party mode, having fun. But if you got expat groups and that's all they are, frat boys, I'm telling you, they're not going to help you out. They just treating the whole thing like a vacation, and you're going to treat your new country like a vacation because your boys who you hang out with treat your country like a vacation, and then you're going to get burnt out on that country because you're going to be like, man, today boring. This country boring because you burned yourself out on that country instead of just relocating and treating yourself as a person that really enjoys that country.
Wow. Yeah, I've learned that the hard way myself. So, in personal growth, what ways has living abroad contributed to your personal growth? What ways have you grown personally from being outside the States?
I could easily say, and you can attest to this, I discovered just as a man, I'm just going to talk as a man. I discovered that America doesn't know everything about manhood and masculinity. I've learned that there are new and different forms of masculinity that I can glean off of that I didn't even know existed. You've learned forms of masculinity from your African brothers, from your South American brothers, from the guys that been in Europe, and the individuals that you wouldn't have learned a certain form of masculinity and manhood and how we are respected and appreciated. You wouldn't have learned that in the United States. United States, no offense, is trying to smash out masculine men. Only in the United States they use the term toxic masculinity. No other country says that except for maybe UK, maybe in Canada, westernized countries, Australia, New Zealand. But for the most part, masculinity is embraced. Women love a masculine man because it allows them to walk and embrace their femininity. You don't hear that in the States. So one of the things that helped me out, has been a blessing to me, is to realize I still had a lot to learn about becoming a man. And I moved out of the United States at 50. So for a 50-year-old man to tell you there's still a lot to learn about being a man from other men around the world, that has helped me out quite a bit. In other words, also, you ain't got to be one of those rah-rah type dudes either to get your point across. In the States, everybody rah-rah. What? You ain't got to do all that. You don't even have to do all that. There are some, you realize there's nothing wrong with telling the other thing is that I learned, Austin, in the United States, you realize that you may see how that sexy, good sex woman, and you want to keep her around because you know it ain't gonna be another one come around like her for a few weeks, for a few months. But when you go to other countries, that beautiful, gorgeous woman that you were with, if she doesn't work out, no problem. 15 minutes later, there's going to be one that thinks like her, walks like her, moves like her, coming right down the street. You don't never have to have that scarcity mindset that you have in the United States. I'm Miss Boss B and I'm the diva and I'm the queen of the world. Yeah, okay, you keep that in the States, because in South America, in parts of Asia, and many parts of Africa, there are so many gorgeous sisters. So herds of hot old school Holly Berries. Herds of women that are so attractive. I remember I was just watching a video of sisters walking down, just regular Afro-Colombianas walking down the street in Barranquilla. In Barranquilla, Austin.
I've seen that.
And when the Colombian dudes start clapping, you ain't gonna see that in the States, because they're so accustomed to seeing beauty in these countries that you never have to have that scarcity mindset. So that's another thing that I realized, that I don't have to walk in like, if this relationship doesn't work out, oh my God, there'll never be another like her. I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's in the States. That's how y'all talk. In other countries, nah, they don't talk like that. They know that that woman is not the only beautiful one. And the last thing I want to say is, Austin, is that women know that there's competition. They realize that they realize, like, wait a minute, I am not the only beautiful one, not even in my family. I'm not the only cute one or attractive one or smart one or educated one or successful one, even in my family. And so women in other countries have embraced the fact that there is competition out there for men, and that there is no problem with competing. Compared to the United States, they try to act like because you got 5 men, 15 men in your DMs, you don't have any competition. That's not true, sisters. A lot of times these dudes just want to smash you, not take you serious. Don't think that your DMs makes you valuable. A lot of times they look at you, they devalue you because they look at you as somebody that they can eventually smash, not somebody that can take serious.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree that the only way, well, the main way that I gained the abundance mentality was moving to South America and Africa. Because, like you said, when I was in the States, I mean, desperate, desperate. I remember circling back and relapsing on chicks so many times. I don't relapse. I haven't relapsed in the. I don't think I've relapsed since I left the States. Like I didn't fall out with
Yeah,
any chick and
yeah.
try to make it back again. I didn't do that. So the
No,
next,
no.
yeah, the next super chat. I mean, not the next super chat. The next question that we have, which is my last question, is technology use, and this might not be, a question. I mean, it might not be a lot to this, but how has technology helped you manage your life abroad, and are there specific apps or tools you recommend? For example, I recommend the Burner app for iPhones. With the Burner app, you can basically have a US phone number, and I have the Burner app registered with bank, my social media accounts, but it's just a phone number through the app, and it works off of Wi-Fi, as
I use
opposed to
free tone for the same thing.
$200 a month. Yeah, as opposed to paying $200 a month with Verizon and paying for an international plan, and then accidentally call somebody. Now my phone bill's $1,000 this month. That happened to me where I talked on the phone while I was in Brazil. When I got back, I had to pay $1,000 for being on the phone maybe 4 or 5 times in 2 weeks, and I ran up the bill like that. So, what other apps do you recommend expats have whenever they leave the country?
As I was mentioned before, I would recommend that you use free tone. It does the same thing that Burner does. I could call my banks in the States. I could call the family in this. It's used through the app. I have my phone number. They let me have my area code that I want, and then they let you have you choose among the phone numbers in that area code. And I pay $10 a month, and you would think I was across the street in New Jersey. Kid you not, because I don't have, there is no international calling line. It's through Wi-Fi. And the thing about South America is, which is different from the States, everybody shares the Wi-Fi password. You could go to a restaurant and just hand them your cell phone, Wi-Fi, por favor, and they'll put in the password. You'll go to somebody's house. Can I get the password? Try that in the United States. Try to go to a restaurant and ask them for a password. Go to a hospital or a bar or a club, or go to somebody's house and ask them for the password of their Wi-Fi. That's almost impossible for somebody to be able to give you that, because I don't know why, and it's not like the bill is going to go up, but at the end of the day, that's what you're going to do, and that's why free tone is good. The other one that I use, that I discovered as when I travel internationally, I use Airlo. Airlo is a eSIM card. You'll be able to use Airlo and travel no matter where you go. You could choose what country, as you could tell, you could choose
Oh
a
yeah.
country. It's an eSIM card, so you don't have to buy a SIM card when you go to another country. You can choose what region. In other words, let's say when we were in Europe, we chose the European SIM card. So I bought the European SIM card. And then when I purchased it, let me open up my Euro card. You see, I got that Euro link. I have access to over 39 different countries. And so therefore, I go in and you see I have that rainbow right there. Now it's not activated right now. Why is that? Because I'm not in Europe. But once I go back to Europe, my 3 gigabytes that I have here, they automatically kick in. And since it gives me access, Airlo gives me access to 39 countries. When we were taking the train from Barcelona, Spain to Paris, France, it just let go of the towers of Barcelona and it just kicked into the towers of France in Spain. I mean, in France. And so we were able to use those towers. When we flew to London, Airlo just automatically connected to the Wi-Fi in London. So if I wasn't using free tone, I was using Airlo, the eSIM app. And so that's another thing that I consider. The other thing And airlow is spelled like air low, like AIR low, airlow. The two top is airlow and holify. Airlow I like because airlow gives you access to over 200 countries around the world as an eSIM. So when you go to another country, we never have to look for an eSIM card and run around. None of that. And we also have the router, the eSIM card router. So let's say you're doing work and you need your router. You want to make sure you got good Wi-Fi. This connect Bluetooth to this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're able to go ahead and do your work, and it connects to 20 different devices. We have the regular router. This router right here, we have a SIM card. We did put a SIM card inside of this one, and we travel the world with this one. Everywhere we go in the world, we just put it. I put it in my backpack. Andrea doesn't have to get us this before we discovered Airlow. Andrea didn't have to get a SIM card. I didn't. Why? We got one SIM card, put it in here, and this connects to 20 devices. 20 different devices.
In that net gear?
I put, you know what? Since I'm in Colombia, I just put regular Exito instead of Claro. Now, for you guys that don't know, Claro is like their version of AT&T, T-Mobile. Exito is Walmart. So just imagine if Walmart had their own data system, and you could be able to get Walmart telephone system like AT&T. Well, Exito has their own. Why did I choose Exito over Claro? Because if I want to put some new data on a SIM card, I could just go to Exito because it stays open later than Claro. Claro closes at 5 o'clock because it's a store. Exito stays open till 9 o'clock. And with the app, I could go ahead and add data to my Netgear router through my phone. So I can add money onto here from my phone. Like I said, Exito is nothing but their version of Walmart. Same product, same setup, same everything. And so as you can see that one right now, that I have a one on there, that one that you guys see up there right here is me connected to the computer right now. So I'm using this literally right now for my Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Yep, this is what I'm using right now for my Wi-Fi. So just in case you guys wonder how good it works. And so if I need more data on there, I just add more data to it. The other one that I recommend, if you're in South America, or at least Colombia, is Rappi app. Rappi is the app that is spelled RAPPI here in Colombia. Why get the Rappi app? The reason why you want Rappi is because it not only delivers food or groceries to your front door like DoorDash, but look at Rappi. If you scroll over, you see where it says with that green on the far right over here, it says ATM. So I could go to Rappi, ATM. Look at there. How much cash I want to have brought to my house. I click on it. And then I can click on continue. And now it's processing. And that, once again, that's the Rappi app, RAPPI. And then you click on continue. And now it tells you at the bottom, it'll cost you 400,000 pesos, 430,000 pesos for, I don't know why my camera is not connecting to the directly, but you get 430,000 pesos. There we go, 433,000 pesos. That means that it will cost me $6 to have $100 delivered downstairs by a motorcycle. So, and I've used this like 70 times. So instead of me getting in my car, going to let's say Austin's here. Hey, Dre, what you doing? Nothing. Let's hang out. Oh man, I ain't got no cash on me. I got my cars, but I ain't got no cash on me. All right, I'll see you in a few minutes. While I'm in the shower, I go here to the Rappi app, order my cash. By the time I deliver, by the time I get out the shower, the Rappi motorcycle is pulling up outside. They give you a 3-digit number to verify who you are. They put it on here, give you a 3-digit number, and that you give it to the guy on the motorcycle. He goes to his phone and say, okay, you're the right person. He counts the money out. Bam. Now, a lot of guys will sit back and think like they would think in the States. Well, you'll get robbed like that. Rappi doesn't go to areas where that would take place. Rappi doesn't go to the hood, guys. it goes to, they only deliver in areas that are safe for the riders as well as the person that's receiving whatever groceries or uh, uh or food from a restaurant that you're ordering from. So you don't have to worry about somebody coming up behind your Rappi rider saying, "Yeah, we about to get him for the money." No, it doesn't work like that. But in the United States, there is no way you would have somebody deliver cash door to door. No way. And my Amazon packages, yes, we get Amazon down here as well. I've never missed an Amazon package, and I never had anybody stealing a package from my front porch. But in the United States, I've lost over $1,200 in Amazon packages in the United States.
Wow.
All the time, Amazon. Dude, and I live in a really nice area of Tampa. And these dudes were always stealing packages. Always stealing Amazon. Not one time in all these years here in Colombia has anybody ever stolen a package from us. And so once again, it's a different culture. So the Rappi app, the InDriver app is and that is EN Driver. And what that is their version of Uber, but it's better than Uber because you get a chance to negotiate how much you would pay for the ride compared to it automatically being set up for you. So the InDriver app is a really good app for a person to use if they're here in Colombia. So you got the Rappi app, the, as you were saying, Burner or Freetone, as well as InDriver are the apps that you would use to make your transition here, as well as Airlo, the SIM card, make your transition a lot easier here.
Nick Styles sent £2, but hit the like button, y'all, or donate value packed. I would agree, it's very, very value packed this live stream. Very good. Yeah, and that was so. The last question I have, which is really a question, and then that'll be the end of the show today. What are your future plans regarding living abroad, and how have your experiences influenced those decisions?
One thing that I experienced, and which you experienced as well, Austin, that you don't owe one country anything anymore. You can actually live in one country and enjoy other countries. So we're thinking about maybe we want to move to Portugal, or maybe we want to move to certain parts. So now we're looking at, once I get my citizenship, because our white brothers, they're getting what's called passport portfolios. You got rich white dudes right now that are collecting passports from around the world. So if you think that we're rare breed, no, white brothers are collecting the passports. And so this is what we're doing as well. And so our goal is to Andrea have her second passport, me have my third passport. So we're looking for another country that we can go to and enjoy for quite a few years, have our children there, because we want our children to be born with two passports, if not three. The country in which we live in, a Colombian passport, and a U.S. passport. As soon as the child is born, and we've already done the DNA test to verify that I'm the daddy, and the child is born of U.S. descent, in other words, within a month, we can apply for a Social Security card, as well as our child's ID and our child's passport in the United States, as well as Colombia, as well as in the country in which we're living in. So Andrea will have at least two passports. I'll have at least three passports, and our children will be born under at least three passports. So that's what our future goal is, as well as buying property around Colombia, because it's so inexpensive compared to the States. The States, they're trying to push everybody out of the market, with the average house in the United States now going for over $425,000. No. No. You know how many houses and complexes that you can purchase in another country that's fully developed compared to paying $420,000 in the States? Yeah, y'all can have that one. But at the end of the day, that's what our plans are, is to take advantage of global opportunities. Because that's what passport bros and blue book gentlemen and passport kings and passport sisters, that's what we do. We hold no obligation to just one country anymore. We love our country. We love the United States, but we hold no one country obligation to the United States only. Statistics show that over 65%, 68% of Americans will be born and will pass on within a 50-mile radius of the hospital in which you were born.
Wow.
68%. If you were born in Dallas, you got a 68% chance that you will pass on in Dallas. If you were born in Philly, you've got a 68% chance that you were born in Philly. So we already know most people in the United States, no matter what race, color, creed, y'all ain't going nowhere. Half of y'all watch us for entertainment anyway, and we appreciate it. But for those that do want to relocate, I hope that the information that we shared today was very helpful. And if you don't mind me, Austin, I'd like to talk about at least a few things don't do when it comes to relocating. Don't relocate for love. I'll say this again. If you got you a Dominican girlfriend, don't relocate because you got a Dominican girlfriend. Relocate to Dominican Republic if you like the Dominican Republic itself. Because if that relationship ends, now you're stuck in a country that you don't want to be in. Second thing is, don't relocate because the country was fun. How you look at a country as a vacationer is going to be completely different from how you see it as a relocator. The last thing is, don't relocate to another country if you are running from something in your home country. You know, my heart was broken in the United States and I'm running. No. Relocate because you are interested in what's out there, like Austin did. Austin said, hey, this is not working in the United States. Let me see what else is out there in the world. Relocate for reasons like that. I relocated because of let me see what's out there in the world. Many of us do that, but don't relocate because you had a bad experience of life in the United States. You think that's the only thing of relocating is going to help you, because relocation is great. It's therapy, but at the end of the day, whatever problem you had might follow you. So make sure that you don't just relocate to another country. You haven't solved the issue of whatever that is that you're dealing with. It's resolve it at home, and then you really have a good time relocating to another country.
Yes, very valuable info. And D Thompson sent $5 on Cash App. He says, great info and live stream, brothers. Thank you for the super chat. And we got another one right here from Black Scorpion. He sent $5 for outstanding stream, fellas. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yes, I definitely think today was very informational. We'll use my strategy and I will cut basically every single question into another video. I'm gonna take the valuetainment strategy. I'm gonna do it like 7-8 minute videos per question, so the people that didn't watch the live stream can watch that part.
That's what I do.
Yeah, it's a great strategy. So can you tell everybody where they can find you at, and then that'll be it.
Well, you guys can find us on YouTube. We just talk about one channel. You can find us under Love Crossing Borders. Really easy to spell. You can see the logo in the background, Love Crossing Borders. And so we've been, like I said, we've been on YouTube as a couple and sharing information for those that want to find love across borders or fall in love with the borders that you cross. So you guys can subscribe to our channels there. You can also find us on TikTok under Love Crossing Borders, Instagram, all the other platforms, Rumble under Love Crossing Borders. So we have been doing this for quite a while, so we're very informative. If you guys want to do a consultation before you come to Cali, Colombia, reach out to us. You can find us by way of reaching out to Austin, or you can reach out to us because our information is in the description of every one of our videos. So if you want to come down here, for example, if you're coming down here for the Afro-Colombian Festival, where over 300,000 Black people from around the world come together and celebrate Blackness in Colombia. It's here in Cali every year in this amazing 5 days of free concerts of it's crazy, and great food and great people from around the world. And so that's in the second week of August from the 14th through the 19th. If you're thinking about coming down, just hit us up for a consultation. We help you out with everything from finding out what side of the city to be on, to the Airbnbs, to your Uber rides and things like that. And so hit us up, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channels, and I appreciate this, Austin. I appreciate the questions were very thorough. This is like a free consult. I'll tell you guys, got a free consultation today. because got some great information. So go ahead and chop this one up. And I'm glad that you guys made it in to actually enjoy and do a question and answer. And I hope not only I answered all of your questions, but all of the strong questions that individuals had in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel. And that's it for today. Stay tuned. We'll be back on the stream tomorrow.